Now that you've got the Arduino and CC1101 radio connected up and working, I'll show you how to now use the RTC program to connect up to the TIU and actually start up a train. So the first step is make a directory. In my case, I made a directory called RTC. In that directory, I put the remote control executable program itself. And that's all you need from the distribution to get started. Just put a copy of that program from the zip file into the RTC directory. We'll start it up by double-clicking on the remote control program. You get a little help message, information about the program, and then it goes up to the actual remote control program itself. On the screen that first shows up, you have the setup button, which is what we're going to use in a second. It sets up some of the parameters for the program, so it's able to communicate to the TIU. Connect button to actually connect up to the TIU. A disconnect button to disconnect from the TIU. Exit button to exit. Engine list will display all of the engines that the TIU is able to find. And at the bottom of this screen, and also most every other window in RTC, is a big red emergency stop button. If you press that button at any time, at any window, it will send out emergency stop signals to all the TIUs, which will cut power to all of your tracks. So to get started, we'll click on the setup button. A couple important things on the setup button. The most important is right here is the radio COM port. So this is, you want to set this to the port number that Windows assigned to your Arduino when you connected the Arduino to your PC. In my case, I have a couple things connected, but I'm going to use the Arduino on COM11. Click on that. Shows over here as 11. So once you set this, it's remembered from run to run, so you don't have to do it again. Another thing I always like to change is the maximum speed. The maximum speed using remotes are 120 scale miles per hour. A little fast for me. I usually kind of like to drop that back to 60. I want to make sure that the mode select is set to radio. And I like to use the acceleration, deacceleration value of 1. The default values used by the remote don't give a very realistic speed up or slow down of the engine. The most realistic is the very lowest value, which is 1. Still not quite realistic enough, but close enough. So once I set these up, I press hide and save. Set my TIU to the TIU I want to communicate with. I don't have to worry about setting AIUs. They're set automatically when the program first connects to the TIU. I need to set my remote number. So I default the remote number here to 15. You want to pick a remote number that doesn't exist in your bevy of DCS remotes. They usually start out 1, 2, 3, so on. RTC program can be 15, 14, 13, and so on, whichever one you want to use from that end. With those two set up, now I'm going to press the connect button. When you press the connect button, COM11 LED light here shows up as green. The TIU number shows up as green. Shows that we are connected to the TIU. So with a brand new implementation or brand new installation, you need to read up all the engines. So I have here a read button. That would be the next step. I'll press the read button. RTC program now is going to the TIU, which is going out to the track, looking for all the engines it can find. In my case here, there are 13 engines. It's reading up the information from all 13 engines. It says it found 13. and you notice now they show up on the engine list. So I'm going to use engine 15 because that happens to be the one that is in view of my camera. I'll click on engine 15. It shows up here as engine 15 selected with the engine name. So you can watch in the little camera window view as I press the startup button. So the engine starts up, kind of loud. It shows the control panel or the operations window for engine 15. It shows horn buttons, uncoupling buttons, shows a speed slider, shows direction, stop, shows switches for all the features of the engine. And of course at the bottom shows the big emergency stop button. Also on the bottom are sound controls. If I press that button, I get sliders for all of the sounds on the engine. I'll talk more about this later, but I'm selecting this now because I want to turn the sound down a bit so that you can hear me talk. So 67%. That'll be remembered as well from run to run. So to run the engine, you just take the slider. You can either grab the slider and move it, or you can just click on the slider and the engine will start up moving. So here it comes, then we'll stop it right here. The boost increases the speed by 1 scale mile per hour each time you click it, and the brake decreases the speed by 1 scale mile per hour each time you click it. You notice when the engine started moving, it blew its horn, rang its bell. That's all done because this function, auto bell horn, is turned on. If you don't want that, you can turn off the auto bell horn. This is just a regular horn button. That's the forward sound and reverse sound, and the crossing signal. I can turn the headlight off. I can turn the number boards off. You should be able to see that in my little window. I can turn off the marker lights. Turn the marker lights back on, turn the number boards back on, turn the headlight back on. This is the bell. Shown down here is the maximum speed set to 60, so the slider only shows 0 to 60. Acceleration, deceleration values are set to 1 scale mile per hour. I want to go in reverse, click on the reverse button. If I press the slider up to 9 scale miles per hour there, you can see it does the 3 toots and the engine starts going backwards. And I'll press stop. I can press now the shutdown button. The engine shuts down. And I can disconnect from the TIU and exit out of the program. So this shows the basic operation of the RTC program.